Whilst crashing has been around longer than the invention of the motorcycle, we can now go harder and faster than ever before. That's where 6D's ODS technology comes into play. Hey, I'm Tim, and today I'm joined with Duncan Hale, our 6D brand manager, and we're talking all about the 6D helmets range. Duncan, we've got a good selection in front of us. Yep. What can you tell me?
Okay, so 6D were established in the early 2000s. The creators of these helmets saw a real opening in the market to increase low-speed impact with helmets, right? Because a traditional helmet was just an EPS liner, which only really offers impact protection at high speed, right? And we all know, especially in the off-road side and mountain bike side, most impacts are low speed. Well, they saw a real need to try and increase that low speed impact efficiency of helmets. So that's where 6D sort of started. There was a big opening in the market to get some better safety out there. So to get sort of jump straight, I've got a cutaway helmet that you can see here quite clearly. There's a bunch of really cool stuff going on in here. The 6D name came from 6 degrees of freedom, which is, if you think of your diving, like diving underwater, you can kind of go up, down, side, left, right. So that's what they've achieved with this helmet by doing 2 EPS liners, one inside the other. So it's probably a little bit hard to see, but you can sort of see the 2 separate liners in here.
Oh, yep, here and here.
Yep, and they're all separated by these little rubber pillars. Which essentially they call ODS, which is Omni-Directional Suspension. So basically this allows your inner EPS liner to move independently of the outer one. Right. And basically because of these little rubber pillars, they are soft. That allows, if you have an impact with the helmet, it basically starts working straight away. Yep. So the shock absorption is absorbed instantly. Yep. Whereas in a traditional helmet you would just have the outside liner, so it doesn't actually start working until you get quite a severe impact.
So a traditional helmet usually uses a multi-density EPS.
Yep.
Does this use the multi-density as well as the suspension, or just the suspension?
Correct, Mondo. So the inner line, the inner EPS is soft and the outer's harder. Plus obviously you've got the little rubber pillars in the middle.
And does that kind of move in this kind of way? Not obviously that much, but like does the shear impact, or the shear?
It'll do both linear and angular. In a big enough impact, these will shear, which again is just absorbing the impact, right? It's slowing down that impact. The shells in the off-road models and the mountain bike models is a tri-composite shell.
And what does that actually mean?
A lot of cool stuff. It's like a fiberglass. It's got armoured in there. Armoured is like a military grade fibre, which they use in bulletproof vests and all that sort of stuff in the army. So it's obviously super strong, but it flexes a little bit, so it helps absorb the impact. So 6D in their off-road offering do a composite shell because the shells are a little bit more pliable, so they help absorb the impacts. In the road offering, they do a carbon fibre, which is, they're not as absorbent. Obviously the road's a lot harder, pavement's a lot harder, but they're a lot stronger. So the shell is, more adequate for hitting bitumen. But the street helmets offer the same ODS technology as the off-road.
So we've spoken about the tri-composite shell, we've spoken a little bit about the off-road. You touched on the shell for the road helmet. And you said it was carbon fibre. What kind of weave are we talking about?
Road version is a 3K carbon. So 3K is 3,000 strands of carbon fibre per weave. With carbon fibre, if you're not familiar with it, it's measured in weaves per strand, strands per weave. So the more strands you have per weave, you get a wider weave of carbon. And to help keep weight down, the more carbon fibre strands you have per weave, the less less resin you need to stick it all together. A little bit complicated, but that's essentially what it does. So the higher grade of carbon fibre, the lighter your shell gets because you have less weaves.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about ventilation in both?
All helmets are fully ventilated. Benefit with having the 2 EPS liners is you get a lot of wind circulating through the 2 liners, so you actually get some quite good airflow through these helmets. Obviously there's lots of vents in the front, plenty of vents in the back. So it generally, whilst it's a little bit bigger than the traditional helmet, it still ventilates very, very well.
Yep. And the same deal with the road?
Exactly the same with the road, yeah.
Got so full channel ventilation.
Full channel ventilation, and again, like I said, with the two shells, you end up getting that extra circulation in there as well.
Yep.
So a couple other things, safety-wise with the helmets, they feature a quick release chin pads under here, or cheek pads I should say. The other thing we have is on the back portion here is like a cushion impact here for if your head does go back to your spine, that will absorb the impact there. And we also have cutaways on the sides here, which is for collarbone.
I'm noticing that in a lot more of the higher end helmets, that they're actually taking care of the spine and the collarbone, so it doesn't surprise me that 60 has got that.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things, it doesn't take a lot of pressure. I think it's less than 3 pounds, which is less than 1.5 kilos to break a collarbone, so they're quite soft. So having that cutaway there just gives you that extra gap between the helmet and your shoulders to prevent an injury there.
What about certification? So we've just changed into ECE2206 in for most helmets.
Yep.
I mean, it's high-end safety, it's high-end performance. Does it have 2206?
Okay, so that's a very good point. So 6D traditionally was known as a big helmet, and they are, because obviously the design of them having 2 BPS liners, that's naturally going to be the case. They're a bigger helmet. So these obviously were ECE 2205. Now they've brought out the 2206. 6D have had to make no changes to their helmet to be 2206. Right. So we've always met that standard. The benefit of that is our competitors' helmets have had to get bigger to be able to meet that ECE 2206. So the 6D is kind of now coming into its own. It's actually not a big helmet now. So it's basically on par with everything else, but you can clearly see our technology is light years ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would be struggling to think of any other helmet company that's doing that second level of motor and road protection.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Another really big or good feature with 6D is they do a youth helmet. So we do a premium youth helmet, all the same features as the adults. It's the ATR2Y. So it has all the same features, but it's a youth shell. So you're actually getting a premium helmet in a smaller shell for the kids.
Excellent.
So it's lighter, it's got all the same features in it, everything's exactly the same. It's just a youth helmet. So 6D are one of the only guys that do a premium helmet in a youth shell.
Did I read somewhere that in some recent races, they were like 1/3 of the helmets?
Yeah, in the US, Loretta Lynn's is the biggest junior sort of national title in the US. 33% of the competitors were wearing 6D.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on across the range?
Okay, a really big thing is sizing. People need to be more mindful when they're buying a helmet. Like, I know as a parent, you're tempted to buy your little fella a helmet a bit too big so he grows into it, right? That's not a good thing, not a good thing at all. So what we have with 6D and other premium helmets as well is all the inside liners are replaceable, right? So you can be, and I've done this with my own boys, which is why I know. So you can buy the correct size helmet for them so it fits nice and tight, it's perfect. As they grow a bit, you just get the next size up. Obviously this is a big purchase, right? This is a $700 helmet. So you can buy that, and then in 6 months' time, your child, it starts to get too tight, you just buy the next size pads up.
Yep.
As long as it fits in that shell. So as long as he fits in a youth, but then once you get to the adult, it's the same thing. So an extra small helmet runs the same shell. A medium and large is the same shell, an extra large 2XL is the same shell. So when you're in those sizes, you can get a perfect fitting helmet, and then you just replace the pads.
Right. Okay.
So there's no need to be, you know, we've all seen the horror stories on social media and stuff where helmets are flying off, right? It's just not cool. So you can be, you know, obviously it's a big investment, but you can buy the good helmet and you can replace the pads.
And make it last for longer than...
You get 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever you need out to it, right? And knowing as a parent, you know, hey, my kid's got the best we can do. Yeah.
Cool. Now, not shown here is the mountain bike or the pushy range.
Yep.
What's included in that, just to, I suppose, to round out the full range?
Okay, so we do a mountain bike full face helmet, which is basically similar to this. It's a little bit lighter, all the still same technology involved, and then we also do a half shell mountain bike helmet for your off-road stuff. A cool thing with the MTB helmet, the half shell, it meets the new European e-bike standard.
Cool.
So hasn't really sort of taken hold here in Australia yet, but in Europe the e-bike standard or e-bike industry is huge as it is here, but the helmet technology hasn't filtered through to Australia as yet. So 60 are one of the only guys that are offering that high standard. Obviously e-bikes run a lot faster than your traditional acoustic bike, so they need a higher standard helmet, and 60 have met that market.
Awesome. That sounds like a huge range. Sounds like we've got some selling to do.
Yep.
Just covering off. So the road range, 3K shell, the ODS system for the suspension.
Yep.
Well ventilated. The off-road.
Actually, also they're pin lock equipped as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Sweet. Off-road, we've got the ODS. It's lighter. It covers that full fast, low, and sheer impact. And then there's obviously the mountain bikes as well.
Yep.
Thanks, Duncan. There you have it, 60 helmets, leaders of the safety industry, and no matter what you're riding, whether it's road, off-road, or mountain bikes, ODS Technology's got you covered.